The British Empire: Rise, Rule, and Legacy Explained. Ever wondered how one empire stretched across so much of the globe and still impacts us today? Let's dive into the British Empire's remarkable journey. It all kicked off in the late 1500s. Picture bold sailors like Sir Francis Drake blazing trailblazing sea routes, setting the stage for an empire. The Brits planted their flags in the Americas first. Remember the Virginia colony of 1607? From there, they spread to the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia. By the 1800s, the British Empire was a colossal force, ruling lands across continents. Africa, Asia, the Americas, and the Pacific were all on the map. But beneath the grandeur was a brutal engine: trade, resources, and yes, the dark transatlantic slave trade powering Britain's economy. The empire's civilizing mission justified its rule, a fancy way of saying they believed British ways were the best and needed spreading worldwide. Africa was a major chessboard. Places like Egypt, Kenya, and Nigeria split between powers. Artificial borders? Check. Exploitation? Double check. India, under British rule from 1757 to 1947, saw railways and administration but also famines like Bengal's tragic 1943 crisis. Its people fought fiercely for freedom. In the Caribbean and Americas, sugar plantations thrived on enslaved African labor, birthing legacies of racial inequality that echo strongly today. After World War I, Britain took over Middle Eastern lands like Palestine and Iraq, triggering conflicts that still ripple through the region's politics today. Both world wars drained Britain. Post-World War II, the empire started unraveling under financial strain and rising calls for independence everywhere. India's independence in 1947 was monumental but brutal, triggering the partition and creating Pakistan with violence and upheaval on a massive scale. In the decades after, decolonization swept across Africa, the Caribbean, and Asia. Countries like Kenya, Ghana, and Jamaica finally claimed their freedom. But those colonial borders? They often ignored local cultures and languages, sparking conflicts that persist, from India-Pakistan to Sudan and beyond. Economically, many former colonies were left underdeveloped, reliant on raw materials, and struggling with poverty and inequality decades on. Culturally, English became a global language, but at the cost of local traditions and languages often being sidelined or suppressed. Racial and social inequalities created by colonialism deeply scarred societies, especially in places like the Caribbean, South Africa, and India. Some of the empire's darkest chapters include the 1943 Bengal famine, the violent Indian partition, Kenya's Mau Mau uprising, and the Palestine conflict. The Mau Mau rebellion in Kenya was a fierce fight against colonial rule, met with harsh British military crackdowns and great suffering. Post-empire, many new nations joined the Commonwealth, a voluntary group still connected by history and language, shaping modern global ties. But not all wounds have healed. Many countries still wrestle with political instability and economic hardship rooted in colonial days. Calls for reparations and apologies are growing louder. Some say it's time for Britain to officially address colonialism's heavy legacy. The British Empire's story is a wild mix of innovation and exploitation, progress and pain. Its echoes still shape our world today. So now you know how this empire once ruled nearly a quarter of the world, leaving behind a history that's fascinating but bittersweet. If this history blew your mind, hit like, subscribe, and share to keep uncovering the stories behind our world's biggest empires.